description is correct at the moment. We've had quite a bit of water over the dam since April.
And on our property.
Right.
For the record, my name is Robert LeBlanc. I'm the General Counsel for WCAP, Merrimack Valley Radio. I'm here representing the station and Colonel Sam Polton, who's the owner of the station. We've been waiting since April for an opportunity to be before the board. I've had conversations with various members of the staff trying to get someplace on this fictitious, false, and defamatory proposed order and charge. I want to disclose to the board that I made an attempt tonight to, in a gentlemanly fashion, speak to my brother attorney, the chairman of this board, to try to ascertain from him the reasons why he committed a gross violation of the rules of professional responsibility of lawyers and issued to my client, Colonel Sam Polton, an Iraq War veteran and owner of the local radio station, a Miranda warning, which alleges that he committed a crime.
I think you'll notice that the chairman has recused
No,
himself.
I need to put something on the record, Madam Chair. He refused to have any kind of discussion, was quite huffy about it, and I said to him that I will either resolve it here today or I will file a complaint with the Board of Bar Overseers and the Ethics Commission. And I will.
Well, I think that really doesn't pertain to
Well, it does
the
pertain because
subject
he
that's
is the
before us.
recipient, witness, and
we're
charge maker of this
presently-
order.
We're presently completely out of lawyers here.
Well, that's why I'm
Our only
putting,
lawyer on the board
I'm
has
putting it on the
recused
record,
himself, and
he's not much of one.
I'm not up on points of the law, so I really can't intelligently
I'll tell you.
discuss this
I'll
with
tell
you.
you what it is. I'm putting it on the record.
No, this isn't
As,
this isn't the place to put on the record something pertaining to a personal gripe.
Oh, this is not a
This-
personal gripe, Madam Chair.
I would like to...
This is a violation of the law by the chairman of this commission, acting as chairman of this commission.
That has no place
You
before
don't
the
wanna talk-
Conservation Commission.
I've been a city manager. I've been around a long time. I go back to Sam Pollard,
But
right?
we
And
have...
you can't tell me you don't have private sessions before this meeting and discuss things. I listened to the April
We do not
meeting.
have sessions. We sit down here and we haven't seen each
I
other
listened
since
to
the
the
last
meeting.
meeting.
Look, We
We
can't
have no
even,
private sessions on this
we
board.
can't even get to a point. And I haven't done anything since April,
We haven't
because I want to
done
resolve
anything
it in a
either.
professional way. But when a board puts a proposed enforcement order on the agenda for 5 months, which starts with an accusation that my client committed a crime,
This is procedural. It has nothing to do with your case or your client.
of course it is.
If
Of course it
we
is. What
have
are
an
we, delusional?
enforcement order that is open, we are compelled to
so
put that order
enlighten me.
on the agenda until it is
Madam
resolved.
Vice Chair, you at the April meeting yourself said you
Now, it
remember
has
this
not
parcel
been
of
on,
land.
excuse me, let me talk for a while. It has not been on the agenda every single meeting because I think at one point we said it's going to need some time to be resolved, so let's put it forward a ways. But something that is
I've waited for that.
unresolved has to come on our agenda sooner or later. It was on our agenda a couple of meetings ago, and Mr. Polton was here. We did not discuss it at length because he had no counsel with him at the moment, I think. Yes.
May I? I'm very humbly asking, I'm represented by counsel.
Yes.
A, when I was here before, I stood up to speak. I was told to sit down, I was read my Miranda rights, and I was told there was an ongoing investigation. I've heard nothing about that again, A.
I
B,
think that was several
I came
meetings.
to a meeting, I came to a meeting a month ago. There was a sign on the door that said the meeting was canceled. I received no notice that the meeting was canceled. And there was no discussion 2 weeks ago. I came here, the chair said to me, "You're not on the agenda."
Well, that's
That's
my
all that
point
took-
exactly, is that we don't put it on every agenda.
That's
but we
all that
try
took
to-
place. It's been on the agenda a number of times.
That's
It
right.
has caused great concern. Our lending institution has been in touch with me. Listeners have been in touch with me. And whether it's been on the agenda 3 times or 1 time, please, I had to stand up when, again, I don't know why people don't just say what is. So for the record, ma'am, there was no discussion 2 weeks ago, unless you were at a different meeting than I was.
I never said there was a discussion
You said
2 weeks
there
ago.
was, and you said it was cut short because
I
I
said-
wasn't represented by
No, I
counsel.
said some weeks ago. You said it was a month ago that you were here.
There was never a time when I was here, ma'am, except the first meeting, when I was told to sit down and I was read my Miranda rights. There was no other time when I was
All
here,
right, but
not represented by counsel.
Okay, I'll agree with you. I have no way of checking that. I'm sure the secretary could check it, but it's
All right,
immaterial.
I'll leave it as
It's
this.
immaterial.
Ma'am, I'll
We're
leave it
here
as
now.
this. I'll leave it as this. I am speaking the truth, period.
Well-
The meetings are taped.
It's immaterial.
Period.
When you were here. What is material is that it's an open case. It's open still, therefore it has to appear on our agenda. We would like to get it off the agenda.
She's allowed to, she's the chair.
May I please finish?
You
I-
interrupted me
Yeah,
as
she has the
well.
floor.
May I please just finish, and then I'll sit down and not say another word. I've been upset since April. I've done as you asked. I have said nothing. I have done nothing. I was told anything I said or did would be held against me. I was told to retain counsel. I did. I was told to come to a meeting in August. I did, to find a note on the door saying the meeting was canceled. No one notified me. No one notified my attorney. I came 2 weeks ago because no one told me not to come. I was told at that meeting that I was removed from the agenda. Those are the facts. It's not what I say and what you say. And I would appreciate it if we could just deal with the facts, period. It's not doing
Yeah,
my
well-
reputation or my business any good. And the last thing I'll say is, the fact that this hasn't been addressed since April has cost me a great deal of money. With me tonight is my chief engineer, Mr. Paul Andrews, and because I was told to do nothing and say nothing, we have been waiting to come before you so that Mr. Andrews can take care of the situation that now exists at the station that is not of my making. And I would be remiss if I didn't say I'm astounded by the way I'm being treated. Period. This is my attorney. Your feelings toward him are your feelings toward him. I am astounded. Absolutely. I am speechless. And again, I'll end with, except for what I'm just doing now, I was told to say nothing, do nothing, and that's what I did. I followed orders. And I don't think it was right that I came to a meeting that was postponed and not told about it. I don't think it was right that it happened twice. And that's that. It's a fact. And it's not right for you to say, that's what you say. That isn't what I say. I have the tape.
All right,
And
first
I'll
of
now
all,
sit
let me
down, and whatever my
apologize.
attorney does from this point on is only because I was told to retain him. I didn't retain counsel. I was told to.
Let me apologize for the fact that you have been here when business was not able to be conducted. The board itself was also a victim of cancellations due to no quorum. we are all ready to go, and then we are notified at the last minute that there's no meeting. So it's not that we were ignoring you or trying to give you a hard time. We're suffering from the same problem on many occasions. I'm sorry if I had my dates wrong. As you say, this has dragged on far too long. I have not been to the Beaver Dam lately, and
You'll
I
need a
would
vote.
appreciate an update if there is one to be had, and perhaps your engineer is prepared to give an update of
Well, he
what's
can tell
going
you
on
what the
out there.
damages are. You'll need a boat to get to the Beaver Dam, which is on state, Commonwealth of Massachusetts property. The other dam is on the property of Uville Hospital. It's not on our property.
Right,
No one ever from our company ever trespassed on any other property for the purpose of breaching the dam. Where you got that information, I desperately want to know. What this has done in presenting it this way has maligned my client, defamed my client, the way it was presented, and has defamed your one and only radio station, which I think we can all agree you want to keep on the air.
right.
The problem is that nobody since April has managed to get the state to come and fix the problem, which is their problem, damaging our property. We've had a tremendous inundation of water. It is a challenge to the electrical system, which the engineer can describe to you. But, you know, putting a proposed order of conditions on an agenda with this language is vituperative. And my client has frankly held me back. I have tried to work with the city. My last conversation was, I think 4 weeks ago when Christine and I agreed that we have to have all the stakeholders in a room at a meeting to talk about this, because my client has suffered serious damage in 6 figures. That hasn't happened. It was the same request I made, frankly, to the city manager, the director, and everyone else on the chain back since April. This is difficult for me because I've been in public service. I can tell you I've never been treated like this by any public official in my 50 years, and certainly by no other lawyer. And it's just very unfair and very troubling. We have not said one word on the radio. I myself have a show every Saturday from 10 to 12. I could have made that a lot of fun. But we want to solve a problem which is damaging to the interests of my client. He's done nothing wrong. If he trespassed, you got 2 cops out here, a sergeant and a patrolman, to keep an eye on me because I told the chairman if he wasn't going to discuss his conflict of interest and discussed why he gave the Miranda warning, I was going to go to the BBO and the Ethics Commission, and he felt threatened. Please. It is beyond bizarre.
Let's get on with the nuts and bolts of what we've got here. I'm sorry that tempers have flared. I'm sorry if misconceptions have circled around. Our problem here is we have an enforcement order on the agenda that's been on the agenda for some time.
Initiated by whom, Madam Chair?
I believe it was a call to a city department other than our own, not the Conservation Commission, who then called Conservation. But I was not in on any of those phone calls. I don't want I don't want to speculate as to the phone tree that occurred.
I know enough to know that you've been misinformed. I've been working at this
Well,
since April.
I think that's not, who is misinformed
How
or
do you
not.
want to proceed from here on out?
Who is misinformed is not going to solve the problem. So let's get back to how are we going to solve the
Well, I'm
problem.
willing to help solve the problem.
I
if
live
you
on Clay Pit
take
Brook.
this language off the agenda in order.
Well, the way to get it off is to talk about the problem, not to talk about the affronts that have occurred.
Well, there are other forums for that too, but what do you propose?
Well, let's listen, and I'll get to a proposal here.
I love court.
I live on Clay Pit Brook, and I've suffered from no water all summer. So I would like a little of that
You
water.
could have some of ours.
Exactly.
We'll truck it to you.
Exactly. My little frogs are high and dry. So I realize that the beaver dam being in the middle there has been a challenge for both sides, the side that's dry and the side that's wet. However, there is a regulation that you are not allowed to, on your own.
And we have
without-
not. And if you have evidence that we have, I'd like to hear it.
You're going to interrupt my train of thought, and we'll never get out of here if you keep interrupting with
I get all night.
with different remarks.
I get paid by the hour.
Yeah, but we have a long agenda.
We've been
It
waiting a
would
while.
seem that the Beavers are doing well if the radio station
I'm
is
thrilled.
not. So at the present time, I am assuming that the Beavers have very carefully remade their dam, which was a concern of ours back in April.
Oh, my
That their
God.
dam had been breached and that it was
Dam was
also,
never breached, ma'am.
it
You went
was
out
all-
on a site survey, you saw both dams, neither one was ever breached.
the dams had holes in them. I can't parse every single statement that I make to be politically correct for
I don't
your
want you to be
point of
politically
view.
correct, I want you to be factual.
There was a hole in both dams. I viewed it.
Do we have any
This was
photos?
April. I viewed the water flowing downstream because the dam was broken. I have no idea how it got into that condition. The Beavers, over time, usually our enforcement orders say that the damage, whatever it was, wherever it was, needs to be remediated. In the time that it took for all of the talking to take place, the Beavers remediated the problem and rebuilt the dam. I was very pleased about that because
God
they can
love
do it a lot better than man can. I'm assuming, since I still have no water in my brook downstream, that the dam is still working.
Flooding our property.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it would appear to me that perhaps there is no longer a violation at this particular location at this present
So what do you
time.
do about the damage to our property?
I think we're here to deal with the enforcement order at this point.
Well, we either
Now-
deal with the damages, one way the staff session or whatever, or we go to Superior Court.
Okay,
And I'm not gonna
you
put this.
stated that the fact that the enforcement order is on the agenda on many meeting nights, that this is the problem at the moment. So I'm trying to get to the point where we can remove this enforcement order from our agenda. And if the fact is that the dam is now replaced and is no longer breached, in my mind, that might be a reason to say that there is no longer a violation at this location. That in fact, this enforcement order perhaps could be rescinded. That, however, does nothing for your problem, which is too much water. But that's a problem that needs to be dealt with through the proper channels and in the proper way.
We've never been able to get any direction as to what the proper channels are for 5 months.
Well, I don't personally feel that enforcement order is the proper channel for that particular
I'm perfectly
activity.
happy if you strike the
Because
enforcement
as
order.
you say, it's not even on your property. So I'm not even suggesting that you would have the right to go on someone else's property and somehow
Well, it's- That property is all of our property. It
well-
belongs to the Commonwealth.
Well, I'll let the rest of the board chime in on this for a while.
How are you tonight?
I'm fine. How are you? How's EPA?
Good. I'm trying to recall. I remember talking about this site once back in April, and as the vice chair was just saying, we get these agendas a day or two ahead of time. Sometimes they change routinely. We're all volunteers.
I know
I
that.
don't work full time.
I've appointed such as you.
Right. But I do recall, what I do recall, and I'd have to look back at the tape because it has been some time, is I remember talking about the problem of the flooding
You did.
and trying to find a way to address the problem, looking at standing pipes to kind of trick
You
the
did.
beavers and things of that nature.
And then the vice chair, who was acting as chair, talked about how when she was a girl, the property was high and dry.
Right. So I'm sympathetic to the problem of flooding, and I think I recall myself saying something, there's proper permitting requirements. It's the state's land, as you, if that is the case. I don't recall whose land it was.
It's the
but-
state's.
But if it's the state's, there's no reason why you couldn't work with Mass DEP, work out of the Wilmington Northeast Regional District Office of Mass DEP, and they could work with you.
We've tried that.
Okay.
We've tried that with them and with wildlife, with the Commonwealth. I know Christine's made some phone calls. We're getting absolutely nowhere. The last response from, I think it was wildlife, was that, well, everything's okay now. We don't have a problem. But we have a problem,
Understood.
you know? And it's a serious problem. The drought was fortunate for us because the water level didn't rise higher than it did. But it's still causing problems.
So getting back,
Thank you, Chris.
all right, getting back to your point, and I think what the vice chair is, I think we got two things we're trying to address here. First of all, address the enforcement order because of the perceptions, more than perception, the negative connotation that goes with an enforcement order. So I think the first thing to do is to try and see if we can rescind it. And I think, the vice chair brings up an argument that I frankly, for one, could support. If the beaver dam is there, okay, we're back to square one. But it doesn't address your problem, and I for one, want to figure out if there's a way we can address your problem. It may be beyond what this commission does. I mean, you're an attorney, we got to stay in our lane, correct?
Well, it's supposed to flow on a parallel line.
Right,
you know.
I understand.
You know that.
Right, I understand it.
EPA to DEP to
Right,
local
local.
enforcement.
Right, but we stay in our lanes. And so what I'm saying is, maybe we could work with our environmental agent to see if we can kind of help to broker a conversation with DEP,
That's all
as you
I've asked
suggest.
for since April.
And kind of focus on trying to solve the problem rather than getting everyone's tempers flared up. There's enough of that going on in national politics right now. We don't need that here, I think.
Oh, I think Monday was a wonderful night.
So with that being said, let's see if we can have other members of the commission talk a bit along this line of thinking. But I, for one, would like to see us if we can get to the point of rescinding the enforcement order and have a glide path forward to addressing the problem, but doing it in a way that's in, compliance and alignment with what the requirements are of the Wetlands Protection Act. Is that a fair statement?
Oh, I don't disagree with anything you said. I didn't disagree with anything the vice chair said at the April meeting. I'm just I was frustrated how long this has taken. I'm frustrated at the insensitivity of the negative impact it has on a major business in this community and a Iraq war veteran, and I'm upset, quite frankly, with the cavalier and reckless conduct of the chair. Those are the three things that I'm concerned about. If we can solve the problem, I am happy.
I think there's a decision point where if it remains on our agenda, we then have a reason to talk about it with perhaps some other organizations. If we take it off the agenda, then it kind of loses its impetus.
Change the language.
Or can we keep the enforcement order, but just not continue to put it on the agenda? Because that's obviously what's making you guys upset.
Yeah, I mean, I think the language should be stricken, and I think that
Why-
we have an enforcement order. I think that you understand that damages have been done. We need mitigation, and we have to get all the stakeholders in a room and figure out what the hell we're gonna do. I mean, we were presented initially with, well, you're gonna have to spend over $300,000 to solve the problem that you didn't create. That isn't gonna happen,
Well,
folks.
so on July 29th, there was a letter written to your client from the assistant planner of Lowell that said that we want to create a comprehensive, long-term water management plan. And we think that all
And that's
these,
where the $315,000 from my client came up.
and all these stakeholders, including Mass DEP, Conservation Recreation, Division of Fish and Wildlife, and other stakeholders should all be involved in this.
Yeah, and I responded back verbally, because I'm ready for battle. I don't put anything down on print. 23 years of public life makes me do that. But I said, we're going to sit down, but don't establish a premise that we're going to put $300,000 on the table, because it's not going to happen.
So I think what
And the last
this isn't-
conversation with Christine was
This isn't the
4 weeks ago.
first, this isn't the first beaver dam in the world, and this isn't the first beaver dam problem, and it
I wonder why you
won't be the
didn't-
first, won't be the last.
Money.
So there are certain proper techniques that you can take to have flow go through beaver dams. So I think, as Commissioner Barnum was saying, that maybe we continue to have this enforcement order, so it gives you a leg to stand on to get all these stakeholders together. Because if we, wait a minute, if we ratify this or get rid of this enforcement order, then we're kind of also saying what you said some of the stakeholders have done, said, oh, it's taking care of itself. And we're by no means,
Even with it on the agenda, they're cavalier about it. There's
so
no skin
why
off
don't we,
their nose,
why
they
don't we
still get
take it off
paycheck.
the agenda? Because it does no good being on the agenda if we're not going to talk about it. And if you guys aren't here, we don't want to talk about it. And why don't we, as the Conservation Commission, reach out to these stakeholders, propose a meeting? We have a resident or a property owner that has this issue, and there are you can install flow-throughs. Sometimes, you can legally trap beavers, sometimes
And I
you
would
can.
be trespassing
So I think we need to all just,
if the state gave notice of trespass, which they haven't.
so I think I would move to keep this as an enforcement order, take it off the agenda, and let's help you get these stakeholders in a room.
We're halfway there, all right? I have no objection to keeping the discussion of a prospective enforcement order on the agenda. I object strongly to the continued use of this language in order to do so.
What language are you specifically talking about?
Trespassing onto adjacent property in order to breach a beaver dam in an area associated with bordering vegetated wetland. As the vice chair pointed out in April, it wasn't vegetated wetland until
We have a motion to keep it on our agenda, but not put it forward at a meeting. Do we have a second on that motion?
No, not, keep it as an enforcement order, but
Keep it as
take
an
it off the
enforcement
agenda.
order, but take it off the agenda. Do we have a second on that motion?
I'd second that.
Okay, we have any more discussion on that particular part?
I'll just have to say for
Okay,
the record.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so
I'll
so
just
the
have to say
second
for the
part.
record, we object.
The second part then would involve amending the language. The enforcement order has already been ratified.
All right,
But we would need a motion to amend the language to perhaps say breaching of a beaver dam in April of 2016 downstream from 280 Totman Street or
You're not
something to
getting
that.
it. You're not getting it. You're making an assumption that we did the breaching if any breaching occurred. and we
No,
didn't.
I'm locating the beaver dam. There's no address out there except for,
Well, the
yours,
state
apparently.
property's gotta have some address, but the
well, it
address
has
you're using ain't ours. I
numerous
mean, it's ours.
addresses on several streets, but we do want to know where this beaver dam is,
Yeah, it's on state property and Uville property.
south of
That's established.
280 Totman.
South of.
South of 280 Totman
Yeah,
Road.
yeah, that's right. But I'd like this language stricken and whatever else you want to
Well,
put
I'm
in there.
trying to get a motion to do that.
We have procedures we gotta follow, too.
Would somebody like to?
Judy, do we have a copy of, I don't have a copy of the enforcement order in my email,
Yeah,
of the
what's
exact language?
language of it?
Yeah. Versus what's just on our agenda?
You know,
So the enforcement order, under number 2, extent and type of activity, destruction of beaver dam within bordering vegetated wetlands on adjacent property. Clearing remnants was observed during a site inspection conducted on March 15th. The activity is in violation of the Wetlands Protection Act
Has absolutely
and the
nothing
Lowell Wetlands Ordinance. Debris and equipment was left on the property.
spoke, didn't you?
Potential damage caused to other adjacent properties on Carr Way. So under number 1, location of violation, says Merrimack Valley Radio LLC, 280 Totman Street.
So,
So there had no mention of trespassing in there?
No.
Yeah, you should have just listened to what she said, it was important. So the language in the enforcement order is not reflective of what?
I think that original language had the mitigation piece in it, and we're not there yet. I wish we were. We've waited 5 months for it, so.
It also talks, Judy just mentioned, an adjacent property, so I think it's stated correctly.
okay. We could change adjacent property to south of 280 Totman Road if you prefer. That
Excuse me?
way it takes away the connotation that,
Would you please let them,
so destruction of
going south of our property?
beaver dam within bordering vegetated wetlands on south of 280 Totman Road.
So every reference to 280 Topman, we will add south of. Okay.
That's a start.
Okay, it still would not explain why this was sent to you, but you're the ones that mostly want this problem to be remediated, so I'm assuming that you don't mind that your name is on it at the moment.
No, we're abutters to the beaver
Exactly.
dam. But
Exactly.
we're a damaged party because of the beaver dam.
Well-
Beaver dam.
So, and I'm also,
I love beavers, and I love the turtles that we're trying to protect. But I love the sanctity of private property.
so we're also assuming by adding south of 280 Topman, this isn't giving, you're not backing out of this, because it's going to take some effort to get all these
No,
stakeholders together.
I think it is definitely south of that address.
Yeah.
It's not on our property line, it's on the state's property line. They don't want to admit it, they don't want to agree to it, they want it all to go away. And I think staff, so just so you know, I have no reason to believe otherwise that the staff has made an effort to get everybody sitting down at the table. Christine and I had a full and frank discussion. The manager and I have had a full and frank discussion. The department heads, we want the problem solved so it doesn't endanger our business.
So, and do you agree that it'll get solved with this long-term water management plan? Because the beavers are going to come again and your equipment's going to be underwater again.
Yeah, but I want you to understand that when I was first approached on this, when we got that letter, just kick in $350,000. And by the way, there was contact made to the Lowell 5 about this. And they're not happy. They're our mortgage holder. They don't like the devaluation of property upon which they have an interest. We have a serious problem. And I would hope that after the staff, I don't know how we're going to get to where we all agree we want to get to. If the other stakeholder, Uville's on board, the state of Massachusetts is not. How we get them? Do I have to have a meeting in President Rosenberg's office to get them to the table? I can do that.
So it seems like you need this plan, this management plan. So are we all in agreement that that's what we
I think the
want?
state needs a management plan. Uville has already said they want a management plan.
Yeah.
That they'll participate in. But we're not a participant in the damage. We're a victim of the damage. That's our problem.
But you're going to continue to be a victim unless you figure out how to alleviate these dams
Well,
with a management plan.
when you were a child and you dropped some food on the kitchen floor, what'd your mother say?
I grew up on a farm.
Clean up your mess. And the state's got to
Yeah,
clean up
my
their
dad's a dairy
mess.
farmer. We had a lot more going on than food on the
Well, I
floor.
remember those occasions vividly with my dear Irish mother. So I'm,
Okay, so perhaps we need a motion to change that first sentence of the enforcement order to read, destruction of beaver dam within bordering vegetated wetlands on property south of 280 Totman Road.
I'll make a motion everywhere it says 280 Totman Road in that enforcement order to add the word south of.
And I'll second that.
Right,
Okay,
so-
motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so when this appears on the agenda next, let's also get on the record that we don't want to be seeing the word trespassing in the description of the enforcement order.
nothing defamatory or accusatory absent evidence.
Okay,
I also think we can all promise you that this will not be on the agenda without you
Oh,
knowing.
thanks. I came on a wish and a prayer tonight because,
well, I would think there's really no reason to put this back on the agenda
well, let's see if we can solve the problem, but,
or such a solution appears.
well, maybe EPA can pressure DEP to sit down with people. What do you think, Chris?
I think our goal also should be to obviously have this management plan in place sometime over the winter, so when the spring comes.
Well, I mean, I think when the sit-down is when the engineers, who are brighter than I am about this, he knows the millions of gallons that's out there, and you could have definitely plugged in, because we've got about 3 million gallons of water we don't need. And then, by the way, that's a tributary to the Merrimack, so it's probably some federal regulations we're violating too. Not me, but the rest.
I got just a question for you, Judy. I know each DEP office has a point of contact, for conservation commissions specifically throughout the Commonwealth. Have we reached out to
Well, they're
that,
not gonna be able to do
what do they
that.
call them, the rider, Mass DEP?
Oh, there
Circuit
used to
riders?
be a circuit rider. I'm not sure that there is a specific circuit rider, but we have talked with DEP
Out in Wilmington,
out of Wilmington. Yes,
and we have a point of contact?
yes, yes, we do.
And for whatever reason, they haven't been able to come to the table?
No.
I'm just trying, because I, for one, since we talked about this in April,
Stricken.
and I wasn't at the meeting at the end of July when this was brought up again. So this is like only the second time I heard about it, and I know if I was in the situation of a lot of back and forth, and the issue wasn't, I just don't
Yeah,
know.
I think Christine has perhaps been more alert to who's talking to whom than
Right, so
Judy.
there hasn't been
So
an
we could be-
agreement up to today with the radio station and with the commission. There has never been an agreement up till now to do anything. So that's why we've had it on the agenda, so the commission could decide what you wanted to do. Christine made the recommendation in July, so it was up to the commission to actually agree and say, yes, this is what we want the applicant to do. That's why there hasn't been anything done, because the commission needed to say, yes, this is what we need to have done.
Okay, so perhaps we need a motion to authorize Christine to put this back on the front burner and find some contacts or,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I would,
Yeah.
we were waiting for direction from the commission.
all right, well, I for one, I apologize it's taken this long. But looking forward, I would make an offer a motion to instruct our environmental agent to broker, or at least initiate some brokerage between the city and DEP to initiate conversations to figure out how to solve the problem of the beaver dam.
Thank you, Chris.
I'll second that.
Okay, just for discussion, should we mention Fish and Wildlife, or, I know they,
Yeah, I think everybody on Christine's letter,
Including the city's Board of Health.
sure.
If we want to be comprehensive, the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs at the Commonwealth, then you get them all.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, you know,
okay, so motion
my
made-
mantra when I was in public life was to blow through bureaucracy, you know, this is all.
And you got to promise, just
I
because
hear
it
ya.
says south of, you're not going to go anywhere.
Oh, no,
Right.
no, because, you know, there's a couple of things I wanted to make clear. You've made them clear. You've taken out the derogatory language. We can go along professionally and try to solve the problem. There are a couple of pieces. The engineer would have told you that we needed relief months ago. We're at a critical stage. I will tell you that the Board of Health previously was in a position to authorize action because it was a health hazard. Maybe that's the quickest way to get our mitigation started and get everybody at the table at the same time. So, now that you've given the green light to the staff, which I never would have required of the staff. But
Okay, so
anyway.
we have a motion on the table, it's been seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So I think that's the extent of what we can do sitting here
Good.
tonight.
Thank you very much. You've been very good, very professional, and I hope you understand the reason for the initiation of discussions. Thank you
Understood.
very much. You should turn on those bloody fans, you know. Why after renovations they didn't make this air conditioning is beyond me.
Pretty cool tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next on the agenda is an enforcement order continued from September 14. Antonio Viola, violation location 81 Delaware Ave, depositing 2 large piles of gravel and other fill, subject to several resources. And we had word this week from our environmental officer that this particular violation had been remediated. The gravel has been removed. However, it's not stabilized as yet. Is this your writing on here, Judy, that says ask lawyer? Is that your writing?
Actually, it was Christine's writing. The gravel has been removed.
Right. It's definitely not stabilized. I was by there tonight, so,
Yeah, so
you
we
know,
assume
it's
that, yeah,
not, it hasn't been smoothed off, and it hasn't been seeded.
right, so the grass needs to
I believe
grow.
that it's, we should leave this enforcement order in place until that final step occurs and we get something growing there again. Because at the moment, it's liable for erosion still.
I would agree with that, and I think from what I recall from the last meeting, you know, it was, the important thing was to get the gravel removed, and if it wasn't removed by a certain date, then looking to impose fines and penalties. Certainly, now that the gravel's been removed, I don't think we need to be talking about that any further, but I would agree that we should probably keep the order open until it's demonstrated that the property's stabilized, you know, following the removal of the gravel piles. I'll offer a move to continue with the enforcement order open.
Second.
Aye.
Okay, our chairman has returned.
All right. Moving on. Notice of intent. It's also continued from prior hearing. Rapier Pellegrino, and it's the project location is 1857 Middlesex Street, and it's proposing to convert the existing warehouse into a school with parking at 1857.1 Middlesex Street. Did I skip? Where are we?
We just did 2.
We already did this one?
Yeah, that's the one we just did.
Yeah.
You were talking about the notice of intent, not the request.
Oh, I skipped one, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm gonna go back.
Next one.
I apologize for that. It's, next item on the agenda is request for determination of applicability, also continued from a prior hearing, Fairhaven Healthcare Center. Project location is 476 Varnum Avenue, and it's to resurface a deteriorated section of the parking area located in land subject to flooding, the 100-foot buffer zone, and adjacent to the Clay Pit Brook.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, and the Board. David Biotti, Greater Lowell Engineering.
Tom Gomes, Fairhaven Healthcare Center.
What was your name again? I'm sorry.
Tom Gomes, G-O-M-E-S.
Thank you.
So we have addressed some of the concerns and issues from the last meeting and resubmitted a revised plan to Christine, who I believe has forwarded on to the rest of you. We have a couple of copies that we brought, full-scale copies tonight that we brought for you. And I believe that we have addressed, as I said, all of the issues that, that were noted from the last meeting. I think so. Sorry. So, as I said, I think that we have addressed all the issues that we discussed from the last meeting. And we have revised the plan accordingly. We've got some setback dimensions from some building corners to the edges of the parking, the existing edge of the parking lot. We've decreased the size of the infiltration trench. We have located the eroded swale and proposed a rip-wrapped section to enhance the stability of that particular area. We have shown the relocation of the dumpster pad on the plan as well. Also, we will ensure the integrity of the silt fence and hay bale prior to construction.
All right, Mr. Biotti, just a couple questions that I have. With respect to the, it's difficult because I'm looking at so the southeast corner where it's, where you have the riprap swale at the low point.
Uh-huh.
The
riprap swale is not actually at the low point in the pavement. It's at the weakest point in the sort of embankment that has formed from the siltation of the sheet flowing of the stormwater from the site. So it has made its way sort of upgrade a little bit towards the middle of the parking lot, about 70 feet from the edge of the parking.
So you're proposing to build this swale then, a new swale?
No, the existing eroded swale that we're all familiar with, we're proposing to riprap and stabilize it.
Okay.
On this plan, if I can interrupt, it's located behind the southwest corner of the building there. I think it's over about, it's not where it's located on this plan. That's, I think, why we're asking the question. Where you have the proposed riprap is not where the washout is.
You may be correct there. But I have actually dimensioned it, but unfortunately I have failed to relocate that assumed location. But this is the swale that we're referring to.
Okay, so that, my question was going to be twofold. One was that, because it appears to be a new feature. But two, and it ties in with this also, your dimension from the building in the southeast corner is 48 feet. Now, is that to the back of the existing pavement? Is that to the back of the
Yes.
proposed pavement, or is that now?
They're one and the same, and it is, it's a
Okay, and-
perpendicular measurement, dimension.
Okay, so, and it's difficult to see on the plan, I guess, a little bit, and I sort of blew it up, but it's still difficult to see where the arrow goes to. Is the 2-foot infiltration trench going to be within that 48 feet, or is that on the outside?
No, that's going to be on the outside of it.
Okay, at the last meeting, maybe I misunderstood. I thought what I understood was that the infiltration trench was going to be within the footprint of the existing pavement.
We reevaluated that scenario.
Okay,
And
so
decided
this-
to go outside the pavement. I have walked the site with Mr. Gomes, and we do feel that there's plenty of room for an infiltration trench there.
All right.
Now, Chairman, if I may, the situation that exists there today is that you have a pretty steep slope. In an intense rainfall, you are going to sheet flow an awful lot of sediment into that brook, as we know. Without doing anything, that situation is going to get worse and worse and worse. And you'll have several of these eroded swales. What we're proposing here today is a betterment of this situation in a lot of different areas. Infiltrating stormwater, attenuating the velocity of a significant velocity of stormwater flow, and treating some of this stormwater as well with this infiltration trench. We also propose to clean up that bank to the best of our ability within the first few feet of it, because it has formed a significant berm from this sedimentation that has flown off the site. Could be just typical everyday sediment, or it could be obviously that with a combination of sand from the winter plowing and sanding activities. But to do nothing here to this particular site would be disastrous for that bank, for the stability of that bank. And that pavement is deteriorating before our eyes here. And to go another winter with a hazardous situation that exists out there where people have been injured in this nursing home, which treats, obviously, medically challenged people in a nonprofit way would be a very big disservice, I think, to this client.
All right, so I guess the problem then that I'm running into is that you're requesting an RDA here, and you're proposing new disturbances even closer to the resources. The
disturbances you're referring to, I think, though, have been requested by the commission to clean up that bank.
Yeah, but yes, I understand that, but I also, to me at least, it was my understanding it was going to be within the existing footprint, and now we're not.
Well,
I'm not.
the resurfacing is within the existing footprint. The infiltration trench, we always and typically propose just off the existing edge of the pavement. We don't have to clean the area up. We can attempt to install this infiltration trench just off the edge of pavement. But it would be better if we made this uniform consistently across the back of this parking area. We will make this area stable and 100 times better than it exists today.
All right, I'm just trying to, Mr. Beatty, I'm just trying to understand what you're proposing, I guess. Okay. The first issue that I was getting to was the riprap swale. Now, so as it stands now, there's a velocity coming off of that parking lot, and it seems to have been, you know, looking at the plan with north up to the left, okay? Not quite sure because there's no dimensions here shown on the, as far as where this swale is. I can see why there's an engineering standpoint to put it where you have it, because it's at one of the lower, and I'm assuming you took a spot elevation at that point
We did.
in time. And perhaps the infiltration trench will likewise cause a decrease in the velocity of the sheet flow. What about at where the old dumpster pad was? Is that a different grade from the rest of the parking lot?
Same grade.
Okay, so there's no infiltration trench behind that area. Is that because it's higher? But to me, it seems like you're going to get a lot of sheet flow coming off of the parking area to the left side of the building, and just running straight down that hill and right out the back there. I mean, I don't know. I'm not, you know, I trust the experts when they say, you know, no, that's not going to happen. But I mean, common sense wise, to me, if you took a baseball or a ball and let it roll down that hill, it'd go right across the dumpster pad and into the woods there. So,
A good point.
those are my comments. You have a cross-section of the infiltration trench. You have a little bit of detail about the swale, but it's really minimal. I hate to say this because we already went back, but we're looking at this now again for the first time. We need more detail on that. Okay, how far out are you planning to make this?
I have a detail of the edge of pavement highlighted.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that, but there's no measurements as to, the swale itself and and there's no cross-section to it. And that's typically, especially where we're going here with this.
I do have a cross-section.
Is there?
There's a cross-section and there's a detail at twice the scale of the main portion of the drawing that shows that, excuse me.
You have a length on here of 207 feet,
I have a length of the swale, 207 feet.
and then you have the volume in
I
cubic
have a
feet.
2-foot wide swale, and I have a note that states that the straw wattle will attempt to be 2 feet from the edge of the infiltration trench. So I did add dimensions.
Yeah, no, I see that.
But I know what you're saying, and I mean, we're trying to appease the Conservation Commission, and we've already sort of tried to go through the engineering department and get their blessing on this, and we have. So, I mean, we can certainly revise the plan to give you more detail on this infiltration trench. We have no issues with that whatsoever.
All right, so let me, if we can, is that the ideal place to put this?
I just don't know what else we can do on this site. I think it's the only place that there's anything practicable that we can propose for this site.
All right, well, I'm gonna, right now, I'm just gonna open it up to get more, just to flush this out or any other issues, but I guess for me, I'm looking for a little bit more quote-unquote detail about this swale I'm seeing for the first time tonight, so, or for the first time when I saw these plans, but,
The eroded swell, you mean?
yes. No,
My intention, no, if I were a contractor and I were to go out there and to address a resurfacing project that required us to pay some attention to the bank, I would clean that up, stabilize it. I wouldn't create a riprap section there. Now you're bringing the horses to water, so to speak. I would let the infiltration trench do its thing. And I would regrade the back of the infiltration trench and stabilize it with loam and seed or some shrubbery or, whatever certainly the commission would require or request here. I would eliminate that swale. That's an erosion. That's an area of erosion. That's a mistake. The stone that was in that swale in the springtime should have stayed there. And I think that swale, the impact of that swale would have been greatly reduced at this particular point. But I wouldn't enhance a swale that's a washout. I wouldn't enhance it. I would clean it up. I would regrade it. I would bring some material in there, certainly some dense graded crushed stone or something along those lines. I would recompact it, and I would stabilize that bank with some loam and seed or whatever would grow in there that would assist in maintaining that bank and treating the water the stormwater that's conveying from this site. That's what I would do.
All right, Commissioner Barnum?
Well, the talk about the swale took place because there's a tremendous erosion out there, and the swale is probably 3 or 4 feet deep and 8 feet wide now, and a lot of that rock and even the hay bales have washed right down into the edge of the brook.
Right.
So, that was something that should have been repaired when the stone was taken out. It wasn't just take out the stone, it was replace and make the bank the way it was before the stone was put in.
We did do that. I have photographs. Unfortunately, I didn't print them. I showed them to David on my phone tonight. I have photographs the day that the swale, I beg your pardon, the day that the silt fence was put in, the day that the stone was removed, and how we restored it. We even sprinkled leaves over the top of it to get it back to its natural look.
Well, it wasn't packed down or something. There's still stone there. You didn't get all the stone out because some of it's washed right down into the brook.
These stones were not small crushed stones. These stones each one was this big. I spent $3,500 on that stone originally and then had it removed when I first came to the conservation meeting because you told us to have it removed. And the fact that it could be a stone this big and this heavy could be washed down is surprising, but I guess maybe.
No, I'm not talking about stones that size. I'm talking about some other stones that, when I saw your swale, it was full of, fist-sized crushed stone.
Actually, when you asked us to remove the stone after the first order, we moved them to the side of the property up front. I had asked Christine properly where I should move those stones to, so not to violate any other rule or obligation. We moved them up by our back shed. Those stones are still there. I'd be happy to show you them or take photographs, but each one's got to be 20 pounds. And
Okay, well, you're probably going to need those stones because
that's-
there's a tremendous repair that needs to be done. And
why
it
we
should
kept
be
them
done, it should be done either at the same time or before the pavement goes in, or else you're going to have no possibility of holding that slope together.
I would agree with you completely. When we first started the project, when we broke the law here or did the wrong, we had the stone installed first for that very reason before the construction project began, and then was removed after the Conservation Commission told me to remove it. We did keep it on site because I spent a lot of money on that stone and assumed that it would probably come back at some point in time. So yes, we'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, now, this got me thinking when the chairman said, is this the best place for the infiltration trench? Because I'm wondering if halfway down the slope, you'd get better infiltration, and I've seen those kinds of trenches across parking areas in the past where you'd have to have a grate or something on top so the cars could still park on top.
That's quite an expensive proposition in comparison to the infiltration trench that we proposed.
You did mention the sand ridge. That was something that I noticed out there that needs to be picked up and taken away. It looks like road sand, mostly.
Right.
There's also material at the present dumpster site, crushed stone that needs to go when the dumpsters go. Let's see. I too am concerned about the, we don't have a cross-section of the trench. We don't know, what angle is it at? What is it made out of? No, I mean the swale, I'm sorry. Cross-section of the swale. We don't know what angle it's at. We don't know how long it is. Or at least I don't.
Again, I would propose at this point to readdress the swale issue. The swale is a washed-out bank. It should be regraded. It should be fixed. I wouldn't address it. I mean, I think it's silly to concentrate water into one location coming off this parking lot, because ultimately it's going to fail, and then you're going to...
You did use the word tremendous when you talked about the water coming off the parking lot, and, we've got a smaller trench now, and it's taking only 14% instead of 22, as you...
It's spreading out the impact over 207 feet as opposed to a 3-foot wide swale. When you concentrate that stormwater into that 3-foot swale, that's a
Right.
tremendous amount of velocity, a tremendous amount of washout ability.
But at some point, when the swale fills, or when the infiltration trench fills, should it fill, it's still going to wash overland, is it not?
Yes, but it will at that particular point have attenuated and reduced the velocity of the stormwater. It will have reduced the stormwater volume from the site, and it will have treated some of the suspended solids from the site and remove them from entering into Clay Pit Brook. I mean, we don't propose in a resurfacing project to treat 100% of the stormwater. We're, I believe, not required at this particular point.
Yeah, I don't think we're
But
looking,
certainly after it fills up naturally, it's going to spill over.
I don't think we're looking for a big kind of project to treat 100% of it. You referred to something about doing something to the bank. What is it that you have in mind?
All that sand that has washed into the bank and created an embankment.
Sand is not exactly on the vertical part of the bank, though.
Well, I
It's
think
right at the bumper edge of where the cars park. right at the-
I'm not referring to that sand.
What sand are you?
I'm referring to the sand or the sediment that has washed off the pavement and has formed a berm. That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah, that's
cleaning.
what I'm referring
And now
to
that's
as
why
well.
that's why the stormwater to the southeast side of the site cannot make its way into the brook. It's making its way over to where this swale is, and it's eroding the swale with a tremendous amount of velocity and volume. So I think that we need to consistently grade the back of the parking lot, the edge of the parking lot, such that the stormwater can make its way into the brook consistently across the entire back.
Oh, when you talk about, we have a treed bank here, and we also have large boulders.
No, and I understand that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about material that I believe
I
has
don't have any problem with removing the berm of sand, but when you talk about regrading the bank, I think that's definitely a notice of intent. We have to
You've
know what
requested-
the elevations are, we have to know,
You've
you know-
requested that we clean it up.
what's that?
You have requested that we clean this up.
Clean the sand and clean the trash. I did not request that you regrade
the
the bank
trash.
of the brook. No, that's a no-no in my mind. That's definitely not something I want to see done. You can remove the sand that's washed off the parking lot. It's still at the toe of the slope right on the edge of the pavement.
Okay?
But you can remove the brush clippings, the dead bushes that the landscapers put in there over the years. They can be pulled out of there, but if you talk about taking a machine and regrading soil along the bank, that's a horror story to me.
Did you want us to regrade that swale? That eroded swale?
I have not seen a
No, no,
You have no proposal about what you plan to do
no, I'm
to,
asking you, Ms. Farnham, if you asked us last week to
I asked you
regrade,
to
to
fix
regrade.
the swale and perhaps
That's what I'm
put some-
saying. You asked us to fix it. How are we going to fix it? We have to regrade it so that it's consistent across the,
No,
All right,
no,
all right,
no.
hold, stop. I'm going to interject here. The Commissioner Varnum, Mr. Beatty, is asking, what was asked was to fix the existing swale. You're coming back, from what I understand, saying that that swale in post-repaving and post-development of the infiltration trench won't serve a purpose. What my original question was, is you have a box that says detail, but it doesn't have any detail about your swale. Okay, it just shows a picture of it. It doesn't show any dimensions of it. It doesn't show any cross-section of it. It's proposed work in 3 resource areas, and you have provided 0 information about it. If you want a positive determination, we can give you one, and then you'll have to file an NOI. We're trying to work this out. What Commissioner Varnum asked was for the existing eroded swale that was part of a prior project to be repaired.
all we're proposing is to repair it.
You're now, from what I understand, you're saying you want to regrade that area, and you cannot do that. You're in floodplain. Anytime you're proposing to regrade a floodplain, you have to file an NOI, period. There's no option there, okay?
Well,
I'm still speaking. We have no detail on the proposed swale that you have in your detail box. There's 0 detail about it, okay? I'll tell you that right now. I don't know how long it is. I don't know how wide it is. I don't know the cross-section. I don't know its angle. I don't know its slope. I don't know anything about it, okay? Other than it's surrounded by straw wattle 2 feet away from it. That's it. That's all I know about it, and that it's going to be riprap. I don't know where it is along the back area. All I know is that it's within the 97-foot contour somewhere. That's all I know.
We will certainly propose to repair it per your suggestion.
But it's not, what you're proposing, what you show on your plan isn't where the eroded swale is presently. It's in a different location.
Okay?
So I mean, I'm not sure exactly what we're asking for is those details. And you're telling us, no, you don't want to give them to us, we're just going to regrade the area.
No,
That's what I heard.
I didn't say no, I wouldn't give it to you. I'm sure I'll certainly give it to you. But I'm wondering how you would propose for us to repair that eroded swale.
Okay, so the swale that exists there now was part of a prior project and was part of a prior action by the Conservation Commission. Okay, so there's existing paperwork as to the state that it's supposed to be in. And that can be referenced for restoring it to what it should be. Now, what I think Commissioner Varnum is getting at and what I'm getting at is that and perhaps even what you're getting at, is that may not be the ideal place for it. It was perhaps at the time because we were following what was naturally happening. But because you're building this infiltration trench, that, from what I'm understanding from you, that might not be the ideal place for it, and it may not function as intended, okay, which is fine, okay? What I'm saying is we need more detail about what you're proposing because we don't have it, okay? It's as simple as that.
Okay.
Okay? I think if, and I don't want to speak for Commissioner Varnum, so I'm just going to not say anything anymore. If that existing swale needs to be repaired, I'll open that up for discussion. But let's stick to that topic and not talk over each other, all right?
I definitely think that you might be able to place some fill to fill up that trench where it eroded out, but I think it looks like handwork to me to get into that brook, into the bed of the brook, and take a shovel and remove all of the stuff that washed down in there. That's what it looks like to me. I wouldn't want to see, you know, a big machine in there messing things up and damaging tree roots and everything else.
So just so I'm clear, because the stone, I think we're talking two swales, right? What I'll call the original swale where the crushed stone we had put in was? Is that?
That's the one that washed out, yes.
Right, it washed out because we removed the crushed stone, I believe.
I don't
So-
know why it washed out, but it's in a washed-out condition at the moment.
Right, because all the water goes down there, that's why we had originally put in the crushed stone, and then we removed it.
But
because
you
got-
also dug out the bank before the stone went in, and that's what caused the weakness. You dug out dirt and you put in stone.
The reason we had put the crushed stone in originally before beginning the project is because nature had washed out, the water had washed that all out. We saw that on our own eyes. We're not engineers, believe me, we just take care of sick old people, that's all we do. But we had seen that it had naturally washed out. I made the decision, correctly or incorrectly, I talked to my facilities director and said, look it's all washing down, it's moving down to the brook. Let's find out what it's gonna cost to put in some crushed stone there, at least to capture some of the junk that's going in there. We didn't disturb anything. We literally had stone brought in. It was all brought in. A dump truck just dumped it there, and they moved it around with shovels in hand. That was it. We thought we were doing something good there for this original swale thing, and now it was removed. It was not removed by a bobcat or a tractor or anything. It was removed by men. I paid those men again to relocate it to the top of the property. So whatever, the berm that you said, we did not destroy that berm. We put crushed stone there to alleviate this problem, and I'm not even an engineer. We just saw it going down that way. It was a mess, and when it froze, to be honest, I had a selfish motive for that, because when it backed up and it froze, it became an ice skating rink there, and I had other injuries and other automobile accidents there. So let it run through the crushed stone made sense to me as a novice, and we removed it. I'll be happy to put it back there, but I don't know what else. Do I just have to restore the stone there and return the stone there?
I'm not sure we want stone there if you're not gonna use it as a drainage swale.
I'm confused because I thought that's what I heard the chairman say, to restore that. I don't.
Well, I thought that swale was, we don't have information as to the swale.
So, okay, so what your engineer has proposed is to move, that apparently there's an existing swale that's not functioning and has become a high-maintenance issue, and is been washed away, and basically is not serving its purpose. Okay, Mr. Beatty is proposing to, as part of the infiltration trench and to decelerate the water coming off of that parking area in the back, to build an infiltration trench and then to move the swale. Okay, what we're asking for is detail. Okay, simple as that. Where is it going to be? How big is it going to be? And that we have a picture of it, and that's it. Okay, we don't have any information on it. I mean, we can kind of get a sense for how big it is. But, Mr. Beatty, my question to you as part of this is, for me, it would make sense to extend, and again, I'm not the expert here, but to me it would make sense, and I don't know why you stopped it at the dumpster pad, but to extend the infiltration trench to the southwest corner. All right. My question is where you've located the swale, at least, is that the ideal place to put it? Is it because it's in the closest proximity there to the Clay Pit Brook and?
The swale that I intended to draft here is the existing swale. I wouldn't propose a swale in any other location. The low point in the parking lot does not correspond to that particular location at the edge of the pavement. The low point in the parking lot is closer to the eastern property line. But certainly, if that's the swale that we want to, that's the one we will go with. I just,
From an engineering standpoint, is that where you've shown it at least on the plan, is that where you want to put it? I'm assuming you've got some measurements there because the contractors have to know where to put it.
no, it's, the one that I'm showing on the plan is the one that exists today. I may have missed,
It doesn't appear to be.
that's what I said earlier. I may have placed it in the wrong location.
I mean, because the one you're showing on the plan doesn't look like the one that's out, doesn't look like it's in the right place. I mean, it just, if I'm looking at proportions here, and again, there's no measurements, again, you know, we're a little bit handicapped because there's no measurements as to exactly where it is, so we're left to guess, but if we're just looking at a picture,
It's
the
actually,
washout that's there isn't where you've drawn it on the plan.
it's actually 70 feet from the eastern edge of the parking lot.
Yeah, which would put it more than twice the distance from the edge that you have it.
Right. And
Yeah.
so in my haste at getting a revised drawing back to you, my bad.
Okay, so
but-
now the question then becomes, where is the ideal place to put that swale, given that you want to build this infiltration trench?
I would propose it where it is, right, I believe right there. And-
Where it
and it's-
exists now, or
No.
kind of where you're showing it on the plan?
Where the low point in the parking lot is. That's
And
where I
that's
would
kind
put
of
it.
where you're showing it?
Yes.
Okay, so, I mean, if I had to guess, I would say probably 30 feet from the edge of the
Exactly.
eastern edge of the I mean, I'm not going to hold you to that, but that, if I'm looking at the 48 feet, it seems to be less than that,
It's about 29 feet.
so.
Do you need both this eroded swale and the new 2-foot infiltration trench?
So I didn't, again, I didn't think that we did need this swale. I only addressed this because we were to go in and clean it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
So
so-
if you put this, if we allow this 2-foot trench along the whole parking lot,
Yeah.
are you comfortable saying you don't need this old eroded swale?
I don't think we need a swale. It's making its way into the brook at that particular location because the other areas across the back of this parking lot are full of sedimentation.
Yeah.
The stormwater cannot make its way naturally during the course, during its natural course, to that brook. It hits the back berm
I would say it's like.
that's formed by this sedimentation, and it then channels itself at this particular location because it's a weaker point in the embankment or the I should say the edge of the pavement. It has gone there on its own. It's certainly not designed. It wouldn't be designed there because it's about 40 feet from the low point in the parking lot. So no, I wouldn't design one for there, and I wouldn't design one in conjunction with the infiltration trench.
So you think the 2-foot infiltration trench is gonna
I think
work?
it's sufficient.
And then what about the 2-inch minus crushed stone? Are we worried about any of the sheet flow is gonna wash that into the brook? Or you think it's stable enough? I don't know how fast the sheet flow is going.
I don't, no, we haven't done a hydrologic analysis of the entire watershed to figure out the velocity at this particular point. But
Okay.
no, at the bottom of this, this pavement here, it does level off.
Okay.
And it does reduce itself in velocity and intensity. So I think that this particular infiltration trench is sufficient. Perhaps we can up its design. But I think, hell, it's a hell of a lot better than what's out there today.
And,
And we're only just trying to make this,
Yeah.
this is a resurfacing permit we're requesting. And we're just trying to better the situation out there.
yeah, this is a
And
super
sta- and
tough
st-
site.
And stabilize
Yeah.
stabilize the bank, stabilize the slope, stabilize the area of pavement that's in the flood zone. We're trying to stabilize everything out
Yeah.
there. So we're really,
No, I
doing the
believe that
best
you
we
are,
can here.
yeah, I believe that you're making this better, and I do think that this is a really tough site. And I do think that you made an honest mistake putting those big stones in the swale. It made sense. I don't blame you. I would have done the same thing if I didn't know I was in a floodplain. So, I think this is the best we're gonna get with this, to be quite honest with you. Having a swale along the entire low point of the parking lot. I might propose to keep the straw wattle at least maybe up for a year to make sure that this swale is working and so no sediment goes into the bank. I would also propose to have an O&M plan, definitely, I would say after the fall leaves and in the spring, to just clean that out to make sure the runoff is getting into that stone. And I also agree with what we talked about, cleaning up the trash, the sand, and any landscape debris. Again, it's a really tough site, and I don't see it, I don't know what else they could do. So I do think this is way better than what's there now.
My turn. And I would agree with everything Commissioner Beardron just said. Again, getting back to basics, this is we're talking about an RDA for a repaving project. We're not talking about new development. And I do think it's a challenging site, and anything we can do to improve the situation is a good thing. I think in this case, the simplest thing would be to stabilize where that existing swale is. We don't have to, be prescriptive in terms of thou shall do X, Y, and Z. I think, common sense says as to what good engineering practices are to stabilize that, and I think that gets us out of the detailed drawings. I would agree, if we're talking about the swale not providing a new swale, providing any sort of real benefit, you can manage the sheet flow with the infiltration trench, then why put it in there? And that addresses the chairman and vice chair's concern about having details for an engineer, a new constructed swale within that area. So I think that you make it simpler for yourself. I would also agree with the chair's point that if you look at the contours there, it probably would make sense to extend in the northern direction that infiltration trench towards where the dumpster is, and not just arbitrarily ending it earlier, because I'm willing to bet you'd probably still get a good amount of sheet flow out in that direction. I don't think, given what you're talking about, a 2-foot depth trench, I don't think we're talking about big money to extend it a bit further. And then obviously the things we talked about, kind of getting rid of the sand, cleaning up the area. And I would agree having an O&M plan, because you're making an investment here. You want that investment to last. So I think those are prudent things to do, and I, for one, would think if you were to do that, we could probably issue a -3 determination and get this done without having you go through the notice of intent process. But we'll see what my colleagues have to say afterwards.
Commissioner McDonough? Okay, yeah, so to further what Commissioner Beardron had asked, in your opinion then, extending the infiltration trench to cover the back would obviate the need for a swale at all? Okay, together with an O&M plan now, so if there was especially after the fall and checking it again in the spring, so, such that, early spring, such that it wasn't covered over the top with leaves and debris, which would diminish its, catching character, abilities, so to speak, to put it in plain English, right? And that it would serve to actually allow water to infiltrate into the trench and decelerate. Yeah, it seems to me that over towards the western end is you're going to have your higher velocities over there, and they flatten out over towards the east where it's going to diminish before it gets there, even though that's the low point. So if you do have collected water, I agree, it'll slowly trickle into there. Now, let me ask you something. Does the trench need to extend all the way to the east?
All the way to the east?
the eastern end of the pavement.
Yeah, the 97 contours right there.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
So can I make a motion with conditions? Can you?
Yeah, we all set here? I'm just going to ask, is there anyone here who'd like to offer their comments or concerns on this request for determination of applicability? All right, so I think, well, let me not take your thunder, but I think we can -3 this with several conditions, so.
So I'll make a motion, issue a -3 determination with the conditions that there is an O&M plan for fall and spring cleanup, that the straw wattle stays there for at least a year to make sure we can guarantee that that swale, the new swale's working. Also that we clean up all trash, sand, and any landscape debris that's currently there. And
Extending it?
and extend the proposed 2-foot wide swale to the west where the existing dumpster pad is. And then do they have to do anything to the eroded swale, or just?
Oh, definitely.
So
Restore the bank.
let me get a second. Is that the motion?
That's motion,
Okay,
yep.
so let me get a second on the motion,
I'll second it.
and I'll open it up for discussion. Sir, can you kindly turn that off, please? That's the third time it's gone off tonight, and we can hear it up here. Thank you. Let's open it up for discussion.
So if we can, Judy, I don't know if you can provide them with those plans that we were talking about at the prior project, that permitted that swale, because I think that's the best thing to do, is bring it to what that prior project was, whatever it was.
We never permitted the swale. They did it without our consent.
No, but before, years ago, there was a swale there, right?
Illegally. They did it without us knowing.
The rocks?
Yeah.
I'm not aware of years ago, but again, when we began the repaving project, before we began the project, only weeks before, we had put in the large crushed stone areas, what appeared to be that natural runoff that you call a swale.
Okay.
So
Hence the enforcement order, and here we are.
And then you got the
Got it.
enforcement order told me to remove it, right?
Well, so what do you want them to do? Bring it to grade? Fill it to grade with loam and seed?
The bank needs to be restored, and the material that is washed into the brook needs to be removed
And removed?
from the brook by hand.
Sure.
I don't know if you're going to need some of those rocks to get that bank to hold, but I wouldn't want to see all rocks there. I'd like to see the bank soil on top the way the rest of the bank is.
Should I bring in new soil or loam or something and have, I got a
Oh,
landscape?
you're going to find some of it at the bottom of the slope.
You should be able to utilize a combination of some of the stone that he has in conjunction with some of the material that we go back and we go in and get, and just a regrading of the swale itself.
I'd like to see a plan of what you propose to restore that slope.
Is there any potential way that could be stabilized with vegetation? Either some low,
It's all,
Creepers
it's
or-
all jagged and it's 4
Okay.
feet deep.
all right.
So maybe fill it to
I mean, once it's
grade?
been,
Oh, yeah.
pulled back a
Oh,
little
yeah,
bit,
it should
I'm-
have some,
yeah, because I mean, getting some roots in there is obviously going to stabilize that.
yeah. And I'd like to put in that order that no regrading beyond the infiltration trench is to take place, except for restoring the bank in the washed-out section. And that should match, the bank should match either side once you're done restoring it. It shouldn't still be a dip there.
Okay.
And then lumen seed on top of that? You want grass there?
Grass or vegetation planted, yeah.
So is that offered as an amendment to the motion, or are we?
Yes.
Okay, so, anything additional?
So we're removing the, did we mention, we're
Yes.
not constructing the swale that appears on the plan. We're not constructing the proposed
Right.
swale on the plan. We're repairing the eroded swale instead. And
But yeah, we're constructing the new two-foot one.
Yeah, they're doing an infiltration trench. Yeah, but no swale.
not the proposed swale.
Copy that.
So could you repeat the amendment with regard to the reconstruction of you're talking about reconstructing the swale that
amendment-
was there?
Yeah, it's to restore the erosion to the existing swale,
To
To grade.
to grade.
submit a plan as to how that's going to be done, and to vegetate the top with something a little hardier than loam and seed. And also that no regrading along to the south of the infiltration trench is to take place. I'd be interested also, you haven't mentioned tree removal. Are there any trees that are in your way?
No.
No?
There are some large trees there, obviously, which we're going to be very careful and do some handwork around. But they're about 4 or 5 feet off the existing pavement,
Okay.
I believe.
All right, do I have a second on the amendment?
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? I have just probably something on the first one. Will maintaining the straw wattle, and I note that in the literature or on the plan, it was you were gonna, so it's a two-part question. So one is you're gonna try and establish it 2 feet further off, away from the infiltration trench, which is fine. Are there any impediments to putting that? Like you were saying, there's some trees along there, so, and that's fine, you can go around them and whatnot, but is that, digging the infiltration trench, will that damage the root systems to the trees that are there?
No, I think there's only a couple of trees that would have to be really careful around.
Okay.
I think the rest it would be pretty straightforward.
Okay. And,
And the straw wattle, I believe, is further enough back at this particular point to where it would remain a foot to 2 feet behind the infiltration trench. So I think it's in the right place. We're just going to make sure that it's functional, that it works, it's clean.
okay, and then one other thing I want to, with respect to the straw wattle, is part of your O&M plan, at least for the short term, while the straw wattle is existing, should be to maintain it, okay, to keep it closed, and to keep it, you know, what's going to happen is in the fall, you're going to get leaf buildup and everything like that, and that's going to cause all sorts of debris to fill up into the infiltration trench that you really don't want. Okay, so you got to, unfortunately, whoever your landscapers are, they're going to have to be a little vigilant around that area. One, not to break it, but two, to make sure that it's clean and does its job. Now, Mr. Beatty, do you anticipate an issue with maintaining the straw wattle there? You feel that the infiltration trench will be able to handle the runoff coming off for the most part?
I do.
Certainly a much better, obviously, than it is right now.
Right.
Okay, but I don't want to get in a situation where the straw wattle is creating a dam either. So,
Right.
okay, because that could be,
It's been beaten up pretty good since it's been installed, so ultimately it really does need to come out for the simple fact that you would want this stormwater to run its natural course.
Right.
And to not be dammed. So I think it can last a little bit longer out there, but it also has to be maintained, certainly for this next year. There's no
Okay.
question.
All right, so,
I have a question.
yep, we're still in discussion.
We're digging out and replacing with stone in your infiltration trench. What is the location of that soil?
We'll remove it from the site, certainly.
All right, so do I have, all in favor of the amendment to the original motion signify by saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. All in favor of the original motion now as amended signify, by saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. All right. So you have a -3 with conditions, and there's, I think, 6 conditions, there might be 7. But submit a new plan showing the extension in prior to any work starting, okay? And then notify the office when you plan to start,
Okay,
okay?
will do.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Oh, this is the one I'm not here on. Okay, I'm also abstaining on this one. All right, now tonight's 4th item is a notice of intent, continued from the prior date. Project location is 1857 Middlesex Street, and it's Rafael Pellegrino, and it's proposed to convert the existing warehouse into a school with parking at 1857.1 Middlesex Street. The proposed work will be conducted within the 100-foot buffer to a bordering vegetated wetland and within an isolated land subject to flooding. The original order of conditions for this project expired in January of this year. And just give me a second. Sir, you all set?
It's been working the entire meeting.
Okay.
Yes.
Good, very good. Okay, and I have abstained from this, and I'm going to continue to abstain from this, so I'll turn the chair over to the vice chair at this time.
Okay, good evening. For the record, Brian Gidger with Hancock Associates, with Hancock Associates representing Rayford Pellegrino and Commonwealth LLC. To give you a little background on the project, we had originally filed a notice of intent in 2013. An order of conditions was issued. We came back before this commission in 2015 for a minor change to the building and a slight reconfiguration of the parking lot. That minor modification was approved. Currently, the site is occupied by the charter school, and we have conducted an interim as-built in accordance with the original order of conditions. Essentially, all the pavement's in, porous pavement is in, catch basins, all the drainage. The site is substantially complete. There is one item that was outstanding from the original order of conditions with respect to the isolated land subject to flooding and compensatory storage. We're not at the point that we can file for a certificate of compliance on this because a little work remains. We have to get back into that area, do some regrading, and then put in the seed mix that we had proposed. It was brought to our attention early August to file this notice of intent because the original order had lapsed, which we did not realize, which we did, and we had issued the interim as-built letter along with the plan kind of describing the site as it sits right now. So I'm here today to basically revive the original order of conditions as it was described to me, the one that was expired. We're not changing the plan at all from what was approved in 2015, and we've built, it's substantially complete, essentially with just some minor punch list items that remain outstanding.
Could you just enumerate what those things are that haven't been completed on the?
So according to the interim as-built, there's probably three main items. One, the weirs within the manhole structures underneath the porous pavement need to be brought up to their design elevations. They're a little bit low right now. Hoods need to be installed on catch basins. As of my last site visit, they were not done, and we have to go back into the area of proposed compensatory storage to regrade and then stabilize with the restoration seed mix.
Stabilize what?
With restoration seed mix, wetland restoration mix. It was what was originally proposed in the area.
Okay, I was out at the site just before our last meeting of 2 weeks ago, and I must say it's quite a change from the first time we visited there when it was still a boarded-up warehouse. It's looking good. They were working on the landscaping with the crushed stone the day I was there, which I'm sure is going to stabilize the top of those slopes. We haven't had much rain over the summer, but I didn't see that there was really going to be too much of an encroachment onto the wetland area with the pavement and the parking areas as they were installed. There's one spot where it was fairly close, but the trees were remaining, so it seemed like that particular area wasn't going to be tremendously affected by anything that was going on. Do you have, I've got too many plans here. The drainage areas, are any of those going into the wetland in the center?
So the entire drainage design revolves around the porous pavement cells. There's two of them. There's the eastern parking lot as you drive into the site, and then kind of the main parking lot across the front of the building. All of those porous pavement areas, the drainage passes through it, and the manholes that I was describing with the weirs in them have a specific overflow elevation that's associated with them. So the only time that water is ever going to discharge into that area is when the design storm kind of goes above the elevation of the weirs that we set, and then it would spill out into those low-lying areas.
It seemed to me that there was quite a bit of natural vegetation on those slopes. Were you proposing to add to that, or kind of plow it up and start over, or what did you mean by stabilizing?
So the area, we're talking about the areas directly around the ILSF, correct? Is that the area in the center?
Yes, the
Okay, so-
pre-existing wetlands.
So the side slopes that go down from the roadway and from the parking, the areas that are adjacent to the parking area are fine. They're at their design compensatory storage elevation. The areas that are not are on the left-hand side as you drive into the site. So we need to physically get down in there, dig it down to create the compensatory storage volume, and then stabilize it with the seed mix.
Okay, and did you submit a particular wetland mix or something? What are you going to stabilize it
They were
with?
on the original design plans.
Yeah.
So nothing's changed from the original plans, right?
Nothing has
So you're just
changed.
asking for an extension of a notice of intent?
Yes, correct. It expired, so we filed for a new a new notice of intent with the expectation that it would be a mirror of what was already approved previously. We're not proposing anything different.
So Judy, how do we go ahead doing that? Do we just acknowledge, and what procedurally do we have to do to kind of extend an expired order of conditions?
Well, yeah, we had them file for a new notice of intent, and we have, DEP issued a new number.
You can't just file for an extension, you have to file a new one?
Expired.
It had expired.
It
Oh.
it expired.
Wasn't there like some 3-year rule? No?
Is there anything between the first notice and this one that you thought needed amending or didn't work out, or
With respect to changes to the
respect to
site?
changes?
No.
So basically,
Yeah, with no
we
changes.
could reissue almost the same order of conditions.
Yeah,
Could we not?
I'll make a motion to issue the exact same order of conditions you got 3 years ago.
We have,
I got a question, just since,
okay, can we get a second on the motion first?
I'll second it.
Okay, and now discussion.
So this is it's a new notice of intent, but it's basically the same thing, and the only reason it's a new notice of intent is because the old order of conditions expired. So does that mean, it's an open public comment again, and so we're gonna, once we close, we finish comments up here, we're gonna have to ask anyone in the audience if they have any comments or concerns about the project.
Correct.
That being said, I mean, from my perspective, if this is the exact same project, and it's just a matter of just trying to, I guess, meet the previously existing order of conditions, I, for one, would like to kind of bring this discussion to a close, open it up to the audience to see if the audience or the public has any comments or concerns, and if not, let's move on and get this project finished.
Discussion. I think we should probably have asked the public first before we take a vote on issuing the order. Is there anyone here that would like to give their comments for or against this proposal?
Good evening. My name is Stephen Moses. Before I begin my prepared remarks, I wanted to say that the project has changed. The planning board approved a third and fourth floor, and I'm not sure how that affected the footprint of the structure, but it's not as though 3 years elapsed and nothing changed. The planning board met time and time again, and there has been a change, and in terms of how that affects the actual property, I don't know. I've never been invited onto the property, even though I'm right nearby. I live at 1961 Middlesex Street, and I'm a trustee of the Riverside Townhouse Condominiums Association. We are abutters of the school. Ever since this project began to be developed, the situation of water drainage from our property has deteriorated. In the past, when there would be a major rainstorm, we would have standing water near the end of our property. That has changed. We now have standing water after most rains, regardless of the amount of rain that has fallen. But the only thing that has changed has been the school's development. We believe that there is a connection with the construction of the school and the resulting effect on our drainage. We are aware that the school property has a significant wetland. That wetland exists because it is fed by sources of water. We believe that our property has in the past fed water to that wetland, but with the school's development, that wetland has changed. In addition, we want the members of the Conservation Commission to be aware that the school's developer and the school's collaborator, Bicknell Associates, have both clear-cut their abutting land of trees. It used to be you had a large line of trees between our property, the Bicknell property, and where the school currently was put in. But now that has all been removed, all those trees, many trees. Our property is contiguous with the Bicknell property, and the Bicknell property is contiguous with the school property. You may be unfamiliar with the area that I'm referring to. If you look on the front page of the institutional site development plan that was prepared by Hancock Associates for Commonwealth, the front page is titled Construction Plan. Look at the vicinity map in the middle of the page. Then at the top left portion of the page, you will see the footprint of the new school marked as 1857. Follow to the left, and you will see the next property, which contains 1939 and 1949. Continue beyond that to the next property where it is marked 1955. That is our property. That is the area where our property drains to the east. Realize that prior to the current construction, that portion of the footprint of the school, the left portion, did not exist. We believe that our water drained into the 1939-1949 property and continued further on to the 1857 property to where the wetlands are located. However, because the footprint of the new school building now presents an impediment, the water is not able to flow to the wetlands. We believe that previous discussions have centered on drainage issues on the school property. We do not believe there's been any consideration to how the new school building could affect drainage of surrounding property. We are therefore asking the Conservation Commission not to approve plans for the school until such time as the school's developer has undertaken an environmental assessment of how their development has affected our development's drainage and the wetlands that is contained on their property. Let me also recollect that at a previous meeting, the chair of the Conservation Commission indicated that the drainage plans proposed by the school were the most complicated that the Conservation Commission has considered. We would respectfully ask that the Conservation Commission require that the developer undertake the study we've requested and make any needed changes to their property or to our property to mitigate the impact that the school building has had on the drainage of water. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Why don't we ask Mr. Goodrow about this?
So there were, I guess, three points that were brought up. One was with respect to the third and fourth story on the proposed building that was approved by the planning board. It did not change the footprint of the building or the site configuration. There's speculation that the wetland itself was changed. We held the silt fence line, which was the limit of work that was approved, and we have not gone within the ILSF. It's only the compensatory storage outside of it. And the third would be trees off-site that were removed not as a part of this project and not by our applicant. With respect to drainage and off-site flows, all of this was fully vetted in the original design. We're required by stormwater management to assess where the water is coming from, where the water is going, and meet pre to post-development runoff rates.
What, I have a whole set of plans here, but if you could just refresh my memory, what's planned for your site to that western portion? When I was in there, it was not finished yet.
Nothing. That's a future phase. So we'll be back before potentially the commission and the planning board and whatever other divisions of the city are required to build out the high school. Right now, it's K through 8 conditional approval. When we go for grades 9 through 12, there will be an additional portion of the building and parking that's proposed, but nothing's proposed on the site right now.
Now, in your opinion, when that additional building is proposed, will there need to be additional drainage structures?
So what we had kind of gone over this in 2015 when we discussed the modification of the site, and what we essentially did was create a placeholder. We have pipes that are going out from the porous pavement areas into the undeveloped portion of the site, and they're capped right now, and that's for a future connection. And then when we do design whatever building and parking and landscaping that's going to be in that area, we'll rerun all of our drainage calculations to account for the additional runoff.
Now, is there any way to make those pipes functional before construction?
To what end? They're pipes that are in the ground right now, and they're buried in caps.
Not associated with any drainage
Nothing.
structures? Or
It's literally a stub pipe going into those overflow manholes with the weirs in them, so we didn't have to trench the pavement and rip up sidewalks and curbing and whatnot in the future.
Is your site experiencing any unexpected water in that area?
Not to my knowledge.
Will finishing the site address any of his concerns?
We would certainly be taking those concerns into consideration in our next drainage analysis.
You have to refresh my memory a bit, too. I noticed just in the letter, that the parking lots and all our porous pavement, the original stormwater calcs, you know, what was the previous condition to, the school being out there? Was most of it the water management sheet flow off into the wetland?
Prior to development period, or the prior plan that
Prior
was
to
approved?
your project,
So when it was,
the warehouse, just,
the warehouse? Yeah, it was just a big paved, parking area that sheeted water off the site in multiple directions. Part of the roof was pitched back towards the railroad tracks. Part of the roof, part of the parking lot was pitched to the west, to the Bicknell property that, was referenced earlier. And then the majority of the rest of the site was towards the ILSF. And then the eastern portion, which had limited pavement and, some undeveloped areas of woodland, was draining towards the Rourke Bridge.
but the improved condition is more infiltration, less sheet flow? I don't know what the total volumes are.
Significantly less impervious area, and we're basically channeling all of our runoff into these porous pavement areas to spread it out and put it into the ground.
Which qualitatively, without having the calcs in front of me, would suggest that there's less potential impacts to abutting properties, because you're
Correct.
having infiltration versus sheet flow to abutting properties.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I think we don't have enough information tonight to withhold order of conditions, but I do think I'd be hesitant to give a certificate of compliance until some of these concerns of abutters are addressed.
Noted.
Let me just ask if there's a landscaping plan that perhaps replaces some trees, perhaps along the property line, and would also shield some of the neighboring residential properties from the school?
So all the work that would be proposed, on the western portion is part of a future phase, so we would be taking that into consideration.
Is there no possibility of perhaps putting a screen of trees along the property line before any future construction could have,
Before future construction occurs?
well, it's out of the way? How close are you going to go to the property line?
We don't know yet, so we would kind of not like to touch the section that we have earmarked for future development until we've developed a plan and we vetted how many kids are gonna be there, how big the high school is gonna be, what the parking demand is going to be, and any other future uses.
There must be a setback of some sort, though, along the,
Not in the zoning district.
no? I'm not, I didn't write down what that report was that this gentleman requested to be done. Would you repeat what that report was that you wanted to?
The environmental assessment report, I mean, I think that was just a generic,
Is that what he asked for?
I think, well, I won't speak for, my sense is that it was just a generalization of an environmental, a report to look at potential stormwater impacts to abutting properties. I don't think it was any unique report. I think it was just to look at look at potential impacts related to changes in drainage due to that project. My sense is that that type of activity would be something that would be done as part of a future stormwater evaluation for future development.
Correct.
Correct.
I mean, anything that we propose further on the site, we will have to be in full compliance with DEP stormwater management standards. And also, we do have to get a certificate of compliance for the order of conditions that was issued stating that development was in substantial compliance with the original design. And the original design is what we went through in evaluating the existing condition.
And while, the intent of all projects, more or less now, is to manage stormwater on site.
Correct.
And not shunt it to either, a municipally owned stormwater system or, have it sheet flow to abutting properties. So knowing the concern, that this gentleman's raised earlier, certainly that, to me, would seem to be an ongoing consideration that would need to be taken care of for future development.
Correct.
Could I just ask, is there some regrading or anything that could be done along the west side of the property that perhaps would enhance flow of water. I'm not saying you should take water from other properties, but is there any possibility that some of the water from your project could be crossing to the west?
Compared to what was happening prior to start of any construction,
There's been
it's
no
highly-
change in the
yeah, it's highly
elevations?
doubtful that anything in that area has changed because we pulled down a building, ripped up pavement, and that's the staging area. It's just that side of the site is untouched, and the remainder of the project essentially is what we were dealing with. So when we go to develop that portion in the future phase, we'll certainly look at grades and ensure that there's nothing that's leaving the site post-development wise that would be detrimental to an abutter.
Well, certainly trees enhance a situation of too much groundwater, and if there's any possibility of planting trees on the riverside site, I would think that would be something they might consider in the meantime if there's any spot there for them.
It sounds like, though, that's what you'll be coming for the next,
Correct.
and then we can issue trees and anything
Correct.
along the property.
Yep.
Any sense of time frame
So-
for that?
So right now, it's K through 6 that's occupied, so less than 3 years, there has to be a full high school there.
So you'll need a new order of conditions anyway by then.
Correct.
Is there anything further that anyone would like to add to the discussion here? We have a motion to issue an order with the same conditions as we had on the last order, since the plans appear to be the same plans.
I will
And,
second that.
You take a vote on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
But I would like to say to the gentleman who's the abutter, we will be considering everything during the certificate of compliance. I said we will make sure that we consider all your comments when we issue the certificate of compliance for this site.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nothing new on the no parking signs?
That was voted at the city council. I talked to get a date from Nicholas today as to when they're going to implement it, and I just don't have a date yet from him.
Okay, if it's possible, we also need some snow emergency street signs. Middlesex Street, there's only one or two.
Snow emergency street.
Yeah, Middlesex signs.
I'll mention that to him.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, moving on. I'm going to take the next two items together, and so I'll call them both. The first part of it, they both deal with the same parties, so the first part of it is a notice of intent. Excuse me, Lacerda, is it Lacreta or Lacerda? Lacerda Masonry, care of Fabio Lacerda, and it's DEP file number. Do we have a DEP number on that one yet? I don't believe we do.
We have not.
No? Okay. All right. Project location is 76 Magnolia Street, and it's proposing a new deck and walkway in a multi-jurisdictional area located at 76 Magnolia Street. The second part and the second item, since it concerns all the same parties, is an enforcement order. Lacerda Masonry, care of Fabio Lacerda, Project violation location is 76 Magnolia Street. And that's been, the enforcement order has been continued variously. And I believe you had filed an RDA, and you're requesting to withdraw that and proceed on the notice of intent also. Okay, so we haven't, I don't believe we've closed that out yet. So it's not on the agenda, but the RDA was filed in association with the enforcement order. What I do want to say is, because we don't have a DEP file number yet, the hearing can't be closed, okay? So,
We're of the understanding, Mr. Chair, that we are going to...
sir, if you could identify yourself for the record.
Apologize, Mr. Chair. For the record, my name is Brian Melissi with Whitman and Bingham Associates, here representing Fabio Lacerda, who's the property owner at 76 Magnolia Street. It's our understanding that we can give our testimony, at least open the hearing. We are of the understanding that you cannot close it. But I think it'd be important to try to get the project out there. If you guys want any other details, we can provide those, and hopefully DEP catches up and gets us a file number.
Yeah, oh, that's fine. We're not going to not do anything.
Good,
That's what is typical. We'll open the hearing, and but unfortunately, without the DEP file number, as you are aware, we can't close it, so.
First order of business, Mr. Chair, I'd like to is the
Yeah,
certified
sure, you
mailing
can furnish
receipts.
those to Ms. Timon.
And again, you had mentioned a letter, but we had submitted a letter asking that the RDA, the original RDA, be withdrawn in lieu of the notice of intent that's in front of you. I do have copies of that letter if it didn't make it
Yes.
to your packet. I can provide them to the commission now if you didn't get any.
That's fine, we have them. Thank you. Floor is yours.
Okay, so the project itself, again, the property is located at 76 Magnolia Street. I'm just kind of looking at a copy of a plan that was included in the notice of intent package. I do have one on a board that I can put up if any of the commission members would like, if you don't have a copy of the plan right in front of you. 76 Magnolia Street lies within the 100-foot buffer zone to the bordering vegetated wetland associated with Clay Pit Brook. Most of the property, or a portion of the property, is located within a 100-year floodplain or flood hazard zone, again, of Clay Pit Brook. There is a 25-foot riverfront area associated with Clay Pit Brook, which is located on the property. However, we are not planning on encroaching within that 25-foot riverfront area. As you read in your in the opening, what Mr. Lacerda is proposing to do is build a deck onto the existing property at 76, along with a paver stone walkway leading from the proposed deck up to the existing paved area up near the street and the paved area of Magnolia Street. The deck itself, the first floor of the house itself is outside or above the 100-year floodplain. The deck itself, both the top of the deck, the wearing surface, as well as the undercarriage, will be above the floodplain. What we plan on doing is having a 1/8-inch step down from the existing doorway down to the deck. So the entire deck will be out of the floodplain. However, what we've calculated here would be the piers or the sonotubes that are proposing to hold the deck up would actually be within the floodplain. So we've calculated that area and have stated that we're going to fill 5.5 square feet of floodplain between the 97.5 and the 98 contour. What we've provided for compensation for that floodplain filling is a slight regrading in the area of the walkway, if you can see that. What we're going to do is we're going to dig that down and create about a 1/2 foot compensatory storage area. That area is only about 12 feet by 5 feet, which is about 60 square feet. So it's above and beyond what we're filling from a volume standpoint, because it's in a stage storage, which is about a 1/2 foot. It's about 30 cubic feet. So we're talking a fairly minimal amount of floodplain. However, we do understand that we are in the floodplain, and that's why we filed. As part of the enforcement order, I'm of the understanding that Mr. Lacerda put out some silt fence. If anybody's gone by the property fairly recently, you'll see that the silt fence is there. He actually extended it a little further off of his property, not knowing exactly where that property line was at the time. And I know that piece was the subject of an enforcement order earlier in the night. As part of this project, we have a note on the plan that there's an existing concrete walkway and step at the front of the property. He would also like to remove that, replace it in kind, again with the brick pavers, just to be able to match the walkway, make it a little aesthetically pleasing. So I know I was very quick, Mr. Chair, but in a nutshell, that's what we're proposing to do. This is in response to the enforcement order, as well as the RDA that Mr. Lacerda filed, which we have withdrawn. And so hopefully to kind of wrap everything up here, that's the project that we're proposing. Thank you.
So I don't want to be pedantic, but I'm going to be anyway. Typically, we see our cuts and fills in volumetric, not square footage, but that's okay. I get what you're doing. You're at the same elevation, so we're at your piers are at that half foot, starting at 97.5, going up to the 100-year at 98.
Correct.
Okay, so I agree. You're 5.495 or 5.5 cubic feet of fill, and you're anticipating 30 cubic feet of cuts.
Correct.
Okay, so that's half of the 60 square feet.
I will add that to the table.
Yeah, you just may want to clarify that a little bit.
It isn't a notice of intent, but I can put that on the plan.
Yeah, you can follow that. For me, you could just follow that up with the correctory letter. Okay, you wouldn't really need to do a plan, okay, or redo a plan for that. I at this time don't have any other questions, but Commissioner Varnum. At least as far as the notice of intent goes, okay.
No, I think this is a fairly small, it turns out to be a fairly small change in elevation here. Should have had that on. So I have no questions.
Commissioner Lovely? Commissioner Beardron?
No, this is done very well.
Commissioner McDonough? Okay, so first item, first things first. I don't know if we need to accept the withdrawal. I mean, it's just, I mean, it was withdrawn before we even really did anything with it. So I don't think we really need to do anything other than that. We have an enforcement order going along with this. For me, I'm glad that this is going forward. I think there was, a little bit of a, new aspect to this, and not getting our ducks in line and whatnot. Perhaps I'm glad that Ms. Lacerda brought you on board to get this done. I know it was a suggestion. I appreciate your finally getting this going. If we can proceed if we can proceed under the notice of intent, and I think we're getting that sense, I for one am comfortable with lifting the enforcement order. I don't think we really need to see it there anymore. The dumpster has been moved back to the paved section. Okay, so I'm happy as far as the enforcement order goes that can be rescinded at this point in time, and then we can just proceed under the notice of intent at this time. So
Can I make a motion to lift the enforcement order?
well, can we do the notice of intent first?
Sure.
So,
Yep.
thank you.
I'll make a motion to issue a standard of Lowell order of conditions.
We do that? We don't have a DEP number.
Oh, we don't have it, yeah, I'm sorry, we don't have a DEP file number, so what,
Oh.
yeah, putting the cart before the horse here, thank you. So what I would like to say is, if we're not hearing anything further, I'm gonna open this up right now. Is there anyone here who'd like to offer their comments or concerns either for or against this project? Is there anyone else who would like to offer their comments either for or against this project? And the chair hearing none and seeing none approaching. So we cannot close the public hearing, and thank you, Commissioner Lovely. We cannot close the public hearing. What I would suggest, though, is I think you're hearing a positive aspect here. I mean, I will tell you I will vote in favor of this project, provided nothing changes. I will also vote to rescind the enforcement order. So what I'm saying is you probably don't need to come back, because we can take this up on the agenda without you here, unless you want to be here. The only danger to that, however, is if someone shows up and voices an objection and we can't answer the question. Okay, so I'm just...
No, and I appreciate that. We'll, more than likely, we will be here.
Okay.
I mean, I know this has gone on a little bit longer than the commission would probably have liked, so.
Well, the
we will
DEP
just
file number is through no fault of your own, so I'm
No,
not...
Oh, no. We've done the
Yeah.
online filing. I made a couple of phone calls to try to get something that's.
Yeah, no, it's
But no,
typical.
we'll be here to see it through. What I would ask the commission, that if anything comes up between now and your next hearing that you would like to see on the plan, or whatever it may be, that no surprises, I'll provide you that information. I'll add that volume table to the
Thank you.
plan, get it to Christine in the planning department and Judy. But again, if anything has come up, let us know. We'll take care of it. So.
Okay, thank you. So do I have a motion to continue?
I'll make a motion to continue to the next meeting.
Okay, and the motions, you didn't actually make a motion, did you? No, to issue a standard order, no.
Started.
Yeah, it was never seconded, so if there was a motion made, it dies for lack of a second. At this point in time, we have a motion to continue to the next hearing, seconded by Commissioner Varnum, motion by Commissioner Beardron. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. All right.
I just have a request so I could be first on the agenda, although
Right.
I'm just joking. That was a joke. Sorry about that.
And thank you for doing all this. I know it's like a small yard project that ends up hiring an engineering company, but thank you for going through all the proper channels.
Mr. Chair, so that the applicant feels like they've accomplished something tonight, besides coming to us to talk about the project, I'd like to offer a motion to rescind the enforcement order.
All right, okay.
Okay. Or do you want to wait until we
I
actually?
would rather wait until we have the NOI in place.
Fair
Well, you know what, I mean, that's, again, perhaps being pedantic. To your point, Commissioner Levy, there's a motion on the table. Well, do I have a second
I
on the
mean, you
motion?
did a good job. You hired an engineering company.
There's a second on, there's a
I'll second.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
okay. To your point, and now that I'm actually really thinking about this, I agree with you. You know, you did everything we asked you to do. We asked you to get plans, we asked you to file, we asked you to remove the dumpster, and so you did all of that, and that's what the enforcement order was speaking to, so.
So you have a second?
So we have a second. All in favor of rescinding the enforcement order signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your
Have a good
time.
night.
Thank you. All right, at this point in time, I'm like thinking, all right, we'll get a state of the agenda. Next item on the agenda, notice of intent, City of Lowell wastewater utility. Project location is 55.1 and 61 First Street Boulevard, and it's proposing to rehabilitate the West Street flood pump station and construction of an inline storage facility that includes an interceptor storage facility at the Reed Station that will integrate into a future weather treatment facility. And Mr. Young, if you could identify yourself for the record, please.
Mark Young, the Director for the Lowell Regional Wastewater Utility. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. This is a city project that'll be undertaken by the Lowell Regional Wastewater Utility to mitigate CSOs into the Merrimack River from the Reed Street Station. you may know or may not know that the city has a consent decree from EPA and administrative order from DEP to mitigate CSO. So this is one of the projects in our long-term control plan to do that. Basically, the project consists of a structure along what we call the South Bank Interceptor to allow us to take advantage of roughly a mile section of the interceptor for storage. We've been using the strategy of storage in other sections of the interceptor, for example, from the West Street station to Beaver Brook, and on the North Bank Interceptor. So this is a really good way to lessen the amount of CSO that goes into the river. As a matter of fact, from the projects that we've done, we've seen a big reduction in CSOs, and there are a number of storms where we no longer have a CSO that we can actually handle and store. So this facility will allow us to take advantage of a very large section of that interceptor that we can't do storage. We also want to use this station as the next platform for a wet weather treatment satellite facility that we probably will be doing maybe in the next 5 or 6 years at that Reed Street site. But we're not going to, that's not part of this project. It's just to set us up to be able to do that. So, if there's any questions. Yes. Actually, they're not similar. At the West Station, we can control the flow that ultimately will come to the treatment plant. We can shut the flow off totally, and if necessary, divert that flow into the Merrimack River, which would be a combination of storage and wet weather rainflow. We can also regulate that gate so that we can store in that interceptor from West Street up to Beaver Brook, which is what we do. So obviously you want to store because you don't want to be dumping CSO into the river. That's the whole idea is to try to lessen as much as possible. So we can take advantage of that storage section of the interceptor. We can't do that at Reed Street because we don't have a structure of gates to open and close and to regulate that flow. So this project will allow us to do that and take advantage of that section of the interceptor from Reed Street all the way up to West Street.
So, under this part, you're removing some infrastructure that exists there now?
We'll be modifying some infrastructure and adding a little bit of infrastructure.
Okay. So, and how much of this project falls outside of the exemptions to the CMR and to the Wetlands Protection Act?
I believe that the majority of it is in because it's in the floodplain. It's within 25 feet of the riverbank. So I believe most of it does.
I mean, because, both the CMR and the Wetlands Protection Act, obviously, and the Riverfront Protection Act identify exemptions for, necessary infrastructure
Yes.
for wastewater treatment.
Yes.
So I guess my question is, what part of this project is outside of that, that is not in exemption?
I'm not sure.
I would say it's all exempt,
Sure.
almost.
As far as, the intent is yes.
It's an
yes.
existing, you're maintaining an existing utility, and therefore we don't have jurisdiction over that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no need for a notice of intent?
Well,
Well, it's good practice
It's
to
good
come in and get a
practice.
notice of intent.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Mark and Mr. Young is
We'll
always...
be before you in the future for the other portion of the project too, so we want to make sure that you're aware of what we're doing and you're updated and kept up.
So what potential impacts do you see as part of this? I mean, I'm looking at most of your work is within the footprint of the existing,
It is.
existing infrastructure.
It is. There'll be a small portion that will be to the north of the interceptor, where we're going to be putting the structure in. But you're right, correct, it's within the footprint of the existing infrastructure.
Okay. So there's no, I guess what I'm trying to get at, Mr. Young, is that there's no new
Correct.
large-scale or even moderately scaled type work that's moving into previously undisturbed resource areas?
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you. I guess perhaps I should have just not
Sorry for the confusion.
spoke indirectly, so, all right. I don't have any further questions. Commissioner Varnum?
You mentioned the Beaver Brook Station. Does that have anything to do with this project? Is
No.
that functioning?
That's functioning. I just use that as an example of an area where we're taking advantage of storage in the interceptor presently.
Commissioner Lovely?
Continued good progress on this project. I'm just curious, I noticed in the report about a third of the discharge within the watershed is from CSOs, with the remaining two-thirds outside of that. I'm curious, on this project, what percentage now are you reducing that one-third by? I mean, I know this has been an aggregate. I'm curious, have you given that any thought? Are we down to about 50% of?
That's a hard question.
Yeah,
I know, I'm just curious. I know you're making significant progress.
I know
over
you're
the-
only asking one question, but boy, is that a tough one.
Yeah.
And honestly,
It's just a
we
ballpark.
don't know.
Yeah.
We really don't know.
Yeah, okay.
But we know that there are a number, we're going to have advantage of almost 1 million more gallons of storage.
Yeah. You just think about, like, in the city of Boston and Boston Harbor and the beaches in Southie and related to, having storage, so this is a good thing, so.
Yeah,
I was just
absolutely.
curious.
Yeah, and it's good for us, from a cost-effective situation, to take advantage of what, even though this is a multi-million-dollar project, it's still kind of low-hanging fruit
Right.
compared to a treatment facility in the future.
Right, right. All right, well, keep up the good work, thank you.
We're trying.
Commissioner Beardron?
Being sewer girl, I'm all for this project.
Commissioner McDonough? Judy, anything further from the city? No? Okay. And a question to either you or Mr. Young. Do we have a DEP file number for this?
We filed September 12th, we haven't received it yet from DEP.
Okay, so we can't close it out
Right.
tonight. But, the same thing, you're obviously getting a sense that where this is going. So I would say that you really don't need to come back unless, of course, someone comes in and talks about this, but we have such large crowds in here, perhaps after, I don't know. But in any event, so, whether you want to come back or not, that's entirely up to you. I'm assuming we should get a number by the next hearing, so.
We should have it by the 3rd of October.
All right, so,
So I'll make a motion to
well,
continue
I
this.
just want to call it, does anyone here want to offer their comments or concerns, either for or against? Good, all right, so seeing that there's no one here to even make comments, so hearing none, that do a
I'll make
motion to continue?
I'll make a motion to continue to the next meeting.
Motion by Commissioner Beardron, seconded by Commissioner Varnum. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
The ayes have it. All right, thank you.
Aye.
Thank you.
I'm going to take this out of order. You're here for the Lowell Community Health Center, right? Okay. This is on for other business and discussion. I'm going to come back to the COC for Duville, okay? Notice of this is on for discussion, notice of intent, Lowell Community Health Center, concerning DEP file number 2060755. Project location is 101 Jackson Street, and the applicant is proposing a slight change to the location of a new sewer utility. And if
Good
you could
evening,
identify
Mr.
yourself for the record again.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, for the record, I'm Jody Trumpio with TEC. I do have some graphics, if you wouldn't mind, I can kind of
Absolutely.
pass out.
Thanks.
By no means is this a very detailed plan that we're showing here, mostly just to give you guys an idea of what we're trying to present this evening. As you are aware, we received the order of conditions back in December of last year for a proposed work at the Lowell Community Health Center expansion project at 101 Jackson Street. As part of tonight's inquiry, it's related to the proposed pedestrian bridge, the construction of the proposed pedestrian bridge, and the timeliness of that as it relates to the renovations within the building itself. The proposed pedestrian bridge that was previously approved was designed to support some utilities, one of which is a proposed sewer force main. We are currently still seeking environmental permits from DEP through a Chapter 91 watersways license, as well as working with the DCR to secure the air rights to construct the pedestrian bridge over the canal. As a result of that, just to give you an update on where the project is, construction within the building, the contractor and the construction managers have mobilized last Monday to begin the work there. And they're coming up with a plan B. In the event that the construction of the pedestrian bridge doesn't happen in a timely fashion where the building is technically going to be, could be ready for a certificate of occupancy, they want to make sure that they have a provision in place to install their utility, their sewer utility. So in the event that the pedestrian bridge isn't constructed in time, they're coming up with a plan B to potentially construct and support their sewer utility on an existing adjacent pedestrian bridge that you see there in the graphic that's to the east of the proposed location of the bridge. So the thought being that the construction of the utility, the support technique, everything would stay the same. There's no additional alteration to any resource area. The proposed means and methods that were previously mentioned as part of the project would still remain valid. And it's just, I think they're doing, they want to make sure that the construction of the pedestrian bridge doesn't hold up their ability to open up the health center when it's ready, if and when it's ready. So I think they're taking a proactive approach, and they have asked me to come before you this evening to see if the commission's opinion of this proposed change is significant enough where it would require a refiling, or if it's something that can be handled administratively.
I, for one, would just accept it for filing. Any questions from the commission?
Same here.
All right.
Why isn't the, just curious, the electric and the CATV service, that's not, just not a problem right now?
Right now, in talking with the project architects, it's, those utilities are for, there's potential tenant space in the upper 2 floors, and that's not driving the occupancy permit. It's the health center on the lower 4 floors that would drive it, and the need to have that sewer in place is what's driving the need to have that. The bridge is going to get built. It's just a matter of the permits, the timeliness of issuing the permits, and they're trying to, obviously they're starting to work inside the building and trying to get this operational. The current schedule, I believe, is to have the building ready by next winter, which the construction of the bridge can certainly happen within that time frame, provided that the permits are issued and the air rights are secured.
Yeah, makes sense.
Any further questions?
Nope.
Anything from the city? Judy, okay, do I have a motion to accept the change as a minor change to the plan with no effect to the resource area?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you. Just as a side note, I have notified the construction manager. They are beginning to do the work for the bridge abutments this upcoming month, taking advantage of the canal drawdown that's going to happen after Columbus Day. And I've reminded them that as part of the general Lowell conditions that they need to notify the commission within 48 hours before they begin that work. So they're aware of that condition, and they plan to reach out to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Have a good evening. Going back now, request for certificate of compliance, Duville Leadership Solutions, Inc., concerning DEP file number 206-0734, and project location is 1085 Varnum Street in Duville Manor. All right. Yes, it looked fairly stable.
Yeah,
Looks pretty good.
Christine did the site visit. I looked at the photos. It looked like there was quite a bit of vegetation had grown.
Yeah. Was it, you did a site visit yesterday morning or this morning?
Christine did a site visit today.
This morning, okay. All right.
I move to issue the certificate of compliance on this.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
By, motion by Commissioner Varnum, seconded by Commissioner Lovely. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. And that's it, no other business? We had, yes, we did. We had,
The oil spill?
yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, neither Christine or I were available for a site visit out there where they were going to discuss long-term solutions. So neither one of us were out there. They did ask us about issuing an enforcement order, and we thought, we were not contacted. We were the only agency that was not contacted. So they contacted us after the fact, after they had cleaned it all up. They had booms out there. They had all kinds of, absorption material in place. They cleaned it up. We didn't think it was really necessary to issue a retroactive enforcement order. We need them to probably to apply for whatever it is that they're going to do for the permanent solution.
Yeah, I mean, a retroactive enforcement order, I mean, I suppose they could file for, the proper procedure.
And I wanted, not an enforcement order, but an
A
emergency.
retroactive notice of intent, order
Well,
of
yeah,
conditions.
they wanted an emergency.
Certificate.
Certificate.
Right.
Yeah, and we thought, well, you've done it, so.
Well, I mean, the proper procedure is they are supposed to file to obtain that. They're done.
Right, they're done,
I mean, they
yes.
had an LSP on site. I mean,
Yep.
it's Commissioner Lovely showed me some action that it went through the, well, perhaps he can explain a little better.
I
but-
mean, the call went into the National Response Center.
Yeah.
DEP responded, worked with the contractor, the work's done. I don't know what benefit there is to
Right,
doing this. I don't think there's a need to check that box personally.
right.
That's
Or
my
maybe,
opinion.
yeah, maybe we just issue a letter from the Conservation Commission saying if this were to ever happen again, these are the
Yep, yep,
the proper channels that you should go through next time.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, if they desperately want an emergency certificate, I mean, if they need it for insurance purposes or something like that, I mean, I'm sure,
yeah, that's the only thing we thought of too, maybe the insurers wanted it.
but I don't really see a point of doing anything with it at this point in time, so,
Okay, so we'll ask them to send we'll send them a letter.
okay.
Yeah, and say no further actions needed on our end.
Appreciate them contacting us eventually, but the commission intends no action at this point in time. Any other business? No? Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn? I'm sure we have several things to sign, but.
Motion to adjourn.
By Commissioner Beardron, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Varnum. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, the ayes have it, and good night.
Could you hear what was being said on that first one?
No.
Your You were-
voice is yelling, but that's it. It was just wow, wow.
Yeah, he was taking you to court, and you might get a chuckle out of watching it on TV. I said, that has nothing to do with what's before us right now, but I want to get it on the record.